Hello there. In my rather damp, grim shed today, going to have a go at just some routine maintenance of my motorbike, actually, my daily ride. The chain is dreadfully loose on it, so loose in fact that I was coming home on it the other day and it pinged off, and it shouldn't do that. That's bad motorbiking, I don't know, stuff. So what that's telling me is I should have tightened it up ages ago, so I'm going to try and get on and do that today. So come along for the ride if you fancy it, and we'll see how we go. I'm sure many of you are the same. When you decide to do a job, it's very often cleaning up and getting things ready to do a job that takes more time than the task itself. We've had so much rain, a fair bit has blown into the shed, so it's pretty grim. I'd like somewhere nice to work. So I'm going to shift all this clutter. So I've got an old lawnmower that needs to go out, a moped which I share with my youngest son, and there's my bike. So I'm hoping I'll clear this lot out. But then of course one looks in more detail. We got a flatty on the lawnmower, so I need to sort that one out, and it will probably do it good to have a start anyway, to see, just to make sure it's all working, because we didn't mow the lawn much this year because it was so dry, and this has been put away in a bit of a mess. So let's get things shifted one at a time. Very often with these jobs, things are out of your own hands, on my place anyway. So I can't move the moped yet because my lad can't find his moped keys. So what I'll do is get cracking and try and get the lawnmower at least out of the way. And you remember it's got a flat. Let me introduce you to this. It's my portable air tank. So I'll fill it up from the compressor. I welded up a threaded boss onto the top, fitted a pressure gauge, so I can now, if I have a puncture or something that needs air out in the field or a long way away from the compressor, I take that bottle out and I can often get myself out of trouble. What I used to do is carry the compressor, a generator and all sorts of stuff in the bucket of the Massey. So I'll have a go at pumping up the tyre with that one. Right, we're getting there. Have a look at this. Filthy. So I haven't got a clue where the chain tensioner marks are, and I won't have a clue with it that dirty, so I'm going to give it a quick hose off, see if I can blast some of the shit off, and then maybe get down to doing some motorcycle maintenance. Right, sometime later, as they say in the movies, the bike's in. I started to wash it off with a hose pipe, it was so caked it was impossible. So I broke the cardinal rule of all things electrical and petrol and gave the offending areas a bit of a blast with a little pressure washer. Otherwise I'd have been there all day. So I've never had a motorbike without a centre stand. And also a lot of motorbikes I've had in the past are shaft driven. I've had Guzzi's, XJ900, Yamaha. They're all shaft drive. I had shaft drive bikes for driving around Devon in the winter because there's no chain maintenance. However, those bikes were expensive. This was very cheap. So it's got a chain and it's old. But so the only chain I've ever adjusted is my 1960 BSA. So we'll have a go. But yeah, this one hasn't got a centre stand. So you're somehow meant to balance it on a jack in the middle of it. And whilst it's balanced, do all your jiggery pokery. So first thing to do is to start playing with jacks and hope that the bike doesn't fall over. I've got a jack on each side of the frame, so the back wheel is up in the air a little bit, so I'll start to try and investigate the next stage of the operation. Right, so I've got the adjusting nuts there to enable me to pull the wheel back when I undo those lock nuts, and you've got to be careful that you don't, that'll obviously change the brake free play as well, because the rear brake is attached to the hub. So I need to undo the brake and think about that free play. Loosen the two wheel nuts, and somewhere or another there should be graduated. Whoa! There should be marks. Oh, that looks like them. Show me how far I go back on. Oh yeah, you can see them there. So I've got an indication of how far back I've moved the wheel. Bloody difficult to see. So, spanners. Sit rep certainly needed a look at. Working on the basis that the frame is exactly the same size on each side. I'm at about I don't know, can't see really, but say 13 mil, whereas I'm at nearer 20 mil on the other side, so the wheel isn't square particularly, so something's shifted, probably hitting a bloody great pothole, which has bumped the wheel maybe and loosened the chain, which might explain why it popped off. So let's get to undoing and see if this thing will square up. Might be the chain is stretched too far to repair, but we'll see. I always forget that on motorbikes, one side is what you undo and the other side is just to hold it to stop the axle from spinning. So gone around the other side to do that. So loosening the chain adjusting nuts now. They're nice and free. So I think the first thing I'll do is pull this tight, so at least the back wheel is square. We'll see how that works. I'll go to 15 mil, see what that looks like. Right, let's go around the other side. Way too slack. So time to start doing it up now then. Let's ratchet it up to sort of centimetres, 10 mil, see what happens. And I'll go on the other side and do that as well. I'll just spin the wheel a bit, make sure it's, whoa. Where have we got to? 10 mil. Won't be much life left in this chain, I don't think. That's looking more sensible. I'll go up to 10 mil on the other side. Oh no, I'll measure it, see what I've done. Can you see that? Buggered if I can. It's 5, 6, 7, 8, 8.5 mil. Right, I think that's starting to pinch the chain too much now. Where have I got to? 10 mil there on that side. Right, it seems to have evened out about 10 mil on each side. I'll now see if I can estimate how much wiggle there is in the chain, see if that seems to be about right with regards to the handbook. Let's have a look. Right, 25 to 35 mil of slack on the chain. You can get special chain slack gauges. I haven't got one. So let's try this. So it sits at about 50 mil, goes up to about 30. So it could probably do it just being slackened off a touch. So I'll come back a mil. Right, it seems to have leveled out at about 10.5 mil. So I'm going to let it go at that and give it the old shakedown and see what it feels like. Always remember to tighten the wheel back up. Right, that's touched down onto the side stand. I'll let it down the other side. Right, here goes. I'll just bounce up the lane, see if the wheel stays on. Lumpy. I've got water where I shouldn't have done with the pressure washer. And also I haven't ridden it for 2 or 3 weeks since my chain incident. And also it's been so icy. I think if I had taken it out, there'd be no more Dr. Phil. Follow-up to lighting hack video. If you remember, I'm not even sure if it, no, I haven't even posted it yet, but I will post a video of a sort of like a bodgy repair I did of an old site building lamp that I used to use a lot when we were building the house that broke. It was an old arc light. Anyway, I found on line sort of like an LED lamp that I fitted on top, and it was in the summer, and I did it, and it wasn't a bad lamp, but I couldn't really imagine it ever being that much use. Actually, it's come into its own now. We're in the grimmer weather of winter, and you need a light, and you may have, well, I was using it servicing my motorbike, but look, I'll show you it now. So you can see, to get the low level light I was worried about, you just reverse the pole in the middle, it doesn't take a second, and you got lots of, it's really stable work light. Or the other way, put the tripod that way up and it can go really high. So I've actually ended up using it a lot, and I'm really glad I did make the change, because this frame is really, well, it'd be difficult to, it's really heavy duty and very heavy, so it's a nice stable light. So yeah, although I may have been a bit miserable after doing the initial hack, it's now become pretty much a workshop essential. The only trouble is it does that funny flaring with the camera, but that's not the end of the world. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.